Hello and welcome to the Voice of TOD. I'm Tom, and in this video I'm going to go over my thoughts on Ghostbusters 2, the 1989 movie and sequel to the blockbuster hit Ghostbusters. If you've seen my review of Ghostbusters, you'll already know how much of an impact this movie series has had on my childhood. And as today, the 8th of June, is Ghostbusters Day, and we have a sequel to Ghostbusters 2 in Ghostbusters Afterlife coming out hopefully in November, with the surviving original cast returning after 32 years. I thought it was a good time to revisit this movie. In these movie reviews I don't do spoilers, even for a film that's almost as old as me. So if you haven't seen it, I can fully recommend both Ghostbusters and this sequel. They should be on the top of your watch list right now. The film is directed by the returning Ivan Reitman of Stripes Twins, Kindergarten Cop and obviously Ghostbusters fame, along with many others, and written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, as with the original. The movie stars Bill Murray as Dr. Peter Venkman, Dan Aykroyd as Dr. Raymond Stantz, Harold Ramis as Dr. Egon Spengler, Ernie Hudson as Winston Zedmore, Sigourney Weaver as Dana Barrett, Rick Moranis as Louis Tully, and Annie Potts as Janine Melnitz, with new cast members Peter MacNicol as Dr. Janos Poa, I think it's Poa, I'm not really sure, and Wilhelm von Homburg as Vigo the Carpathian. The synopsis from IMDb: the discovery of a massive river of ectoplasm and a resurgence of spectral activity allows the staff of Ghostbusters to revive the business. We don't say ectoplasm enough in this day and age. But with the admin out the way, what did I like about the movie? I know when it was released this movie was criticised for covering old ground, and probably rightly so. It is almost a carbon copy of the events of the first movie, albeit with a new villain. You could argue that bringing back so many of the original characters leans into that, but with a cast this good and characters this much fun, why would he try and reinvent the wheel? 5 years have passed since the events of the last movie, and Ghostbusters have fallen far out of favour. Having been hit with all kinds of court orders and fines, the story has a very meta feel at the start, even using the original theme song, the Ghostbusters theme, remixed for this movie as part of a routine in-universe. This just adds to the comedic feel for me, and watching it 32 years on, it hits all the right nostalgia beats from my childhood with the pop culture references too. I've seen this movie more times than I can remember, and it always makes me laugh and creeps me out in equal measure. Even now as an adult, the script works on every level. It's very tight, as with the original movie. I would argue this sequel is just as strong as the first movie. The cast are all as excellent, and MacNicol's Janos brings the right amount of over-the-top creepiness that this wacky movie plays really well with. I didn't grow up with these films being separated. As I mentioned in my review for Ghostbusters, I saw this one before I saw Ghostbusters. Not much before, but this was my introduction into Ghostbusters. So I'm taking it from that view rather than someone who had the first film and waited for this, which is probably where my opinions differ from many other people. But Murray, Aykroyd, Ramis and Weaver all bring the same charm and charisma. We do get a little bit more of Hudson, still not enough, but Zedmore has the majority of the hero moments this time around. Having spent only a couple of scenes together in the last movie, this one gives us the great pairing with Annie Potts and Rick Moranis. Moranis even gets to put on a proton pack. Slimer is also back, which is a very nice nod to the previous movie. The soundtrack is just as good as the first. We still have the original score and the use of soul, synth and pop, with hip hop thrown in to add a new, more modern, of the time spin. The Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack was actually the first CD I ever owned. I couldn't tell you how many times I've listened to it. While the comedy is central and the romance is clearly there, with both Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver again picking up 5 years on, but Ghostbusters 2 really turns up the horror factor. And with the improvements in CGI by this point and the physical effects, it really lends to that. There are the political elements, as with the first film. I think there's probably more of them in this, and the political side is certainly a feature. But one of the central features of this movie is the growing hate and distrust in modern society, and how to combat that as supernatural evil is on the rise again. Sounds a little bit like modern day, doesn't it? Who knows, there might even be a river of slime under New York City as we speak. Set pieces are excellent in this film. The courtroom scene is one of my favourites. And then we have something just as epic as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man during our finale. Vigo the Carpathian, our main villain this time around, is terrifying too, and the effects used for him are really solid and very horror-esque. This movie is also the reason I'll never use pink bubble bath. Now, in closing, I know I'm biased, and my love for this movie, the original, and this wonderful cast of characters and actors is probably clouding my judgment. But the best thing about this sequel is getting to spend more time with these characters. I love the idea of seeing them 5 years on and where they ended up, how the story brings everybody back together, and the two movies fit really well as a pair. This all works because Ramis and Aykroyd created this world, and the love they have for it shows. With Reitman back in the director's chair and the relationship of the actors, I think it would have been hard for this movie not to feel like the original. Once you've saved New York from a giant marshmallow man, there isn't much more you can do, and sometimes covering the same old ground is a lot better than burning down a franchise because you want to try something different. With a 5-year break explained well enough in this movie, and 31 years between this one and the upcoming Afterlife, I'm very interested to see where this next part is going to go. Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son, is helming the upcoming sequel, and has grown up much closer to this franchise than any other fan out there. Everything I've seen and heard has been great, and I honestly think Afterlife could stick the landing. I really hope so, because I'm more connected to Ghostbusters than Star Wars. So if it did go that way, I'd probably riot. I have had an absolute blast watching and reviewing these movies, and I hope you enjoy these videos as a little celebration of Ghostbusters Day and beyond. And let me know in the comments your thoughts on Ghostbusters 2. Is it a worthwhile sequel or just a big letdown? And what are your feelings on the upcoming Afterlife? Now, if you want more of me, I stream regularly on Twitch. We're currently playing through Divinity Original Sin, which I will probably be streaming at the time this video goes live. So feel free to pop in, say hi. I've also started my run up to Halo Infinite with the chronological playthrough of the Halo games. We've just finished Halo Wars, and now we're headed to Reach this weekend. And there's always the other channel, Todd Plays Games, where you can catch up with all the past live streams and enjoy them at your heart's content. Stay tuned to the Voice of TOD for more movie and game news and reviews, probably some Ghostbusters, and whatever else I feel like talking about. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.